Revising through the chapter Fundamental Units of Life. In our unit of life, what do we understand here? We have so far studied that the cell was discovered in the year 1665 by a person named Robert Hooke. Okay, and how did he discover the cell? He took a piece of cork, okay, and he was observing a piece of cork. Then what he did was he sliced a piece of it. So the slice of the cork was studied under the microscope, and then when he studied it under the microscope, he observed that the particular piece of cork was made up of tiny individual structures. They were like put together. Those individual structures were put together, and he got to know that this cork is not just one particular thing, but it is made up of many other numerous tiny compartments which are combined together in the form of a honeycomb structure. Okay, and since they were very tiny structures, the name, because of the fact that they were very tiny structures, it was given the label as cell. Okay, and so later on there were different scientists who have studied under the microscope many different things. They studied the onion peel, they studied some pieces of paper, some pieces of fruits and vegetables, leaves and everything, and they got to know that everything in nature was made up of these tiny structures which were once named as cells. And so they said that since these are considered, because these are combining together, as we put the blocks, right, we put the blocks together and then we make a toy structure, right? The same way the cells were considered to be called as the building blocks of life. Okay, building blocks, they were behaving like the building blocks of life is what they were said or considered as. But later on, because these building blocks of life are present in organisms, okay, these are present in the living organisms, these cells are responsible for giving the structure to the organism. Where do I get my body structure from? Where does a leaf get its structure from? The cells inside the leaves are placed in this particular fashion. If these cells were not placed like this, but if they were placed something like this, then what would happen? The cell structure or the structure of that leaf would be square in shape, isn't it? This is what and how the cells are made up of. Okay, so this is about the structure, and the name does that, it is a structural unit or the fundamental unit, is because every particular thing in nature is made up of these cells, and they are giving the structure to a living organism, so they are called as the structural unit. What are they called as? They are called as the structural unit. That's first thing. The second thing is, if the cell did not exist, fundamental unit we are calling it. Why is it called as a fundamental unit of life? Structural unit, why are we calling? Because it is giving structure to the living organism, okay, and giving shape and structure to the living organism, so it is called as structural unit. After that we have fundamental unit. What is a fundamental unit? A fundamental unit is the base thing. So imagine if the cells did not exist, the complete organism would not have come into existence, isn't it? So that is how we are giving the name as the fundamental and the structural unit of life to this particular thing. Okay, now going ahead, we have also studied about the different types of living organisms. And what are the different types of living organisms that we have studied about? We have come across many different types of organisms. Okay, since the time the nature has come into existence, there have been many different kinds of organisms living on the planet Earth. Okay, and so when some of the scientists started studying the structure of the living organisms, they found out that there are two types of organisms. They are unicelled organisms. What are they? They are unicelled organisms existing in nature, and then you have multicelled organisms existing in nature. Okay, what do you understand by the term unicelled or multicelled organisms is what we are are going to see here. Unicelled means they have only their complete existence is only one cell. It is a one individual cell that is going to live on its own. It does not require any dependence to be dependent. It does not require to be dependent on any other thing. It is existing individually, so it is called as a unicelled organism. Likewise, you have the multi-celled organisms. Multi-cell is two or more cells. Okay, when any organism is made up of two or more cells, they are called as multicellular or cellular or multi-celled organisms is what they are called as. So let's take into consideration the unicellular organisms. The unicellular organisms are amoeba, you have paramecium. Okay, you have amoeba and paramecium. Going to the multicellular organisms, what are the things that we have? We have plants, animals. Okay, they are made up of multiple cells. Okay, this is what is the basic thing that we have studied and learned. Now, how about the cell? Are cells different? Yes, the cells, there are different types of cells, but before jumping into detail how different the cells are existing in nature and what is the differences between them, we'll just come to an idea. The shape and size may vary. Sorry, this is size. The shape of the cell and the size may vary, but their structures are much the same. Now, structure means there is an outer covering, then there is a nucleus and all. That is what is there. The structure is different for a cell, whereas the shape and size of the cell are same. Most of the cells are same. So let's classify the types of cells is what we are going to study about. Types of cells we are studying. There are basically two types of cells given to us. I want you to write this particular thing down in your notebook so that when you are revising it, it stays in your head. Okay, there are two types of cells. Let's name them. What are they? One of them is called as the prokaryotic cell. Okay, prokaryotic cells, and the other one is the eukaryotic cell. Okay, so when I say prokaryotic cell, what does it actually mean? The prokaryotic cells are the ones which are not having a completely well-defined nucleus. Okay, the prokaryotic cells do not have a well-defined nucleus. Okay, prokaryotic cell, if I take into consideration the structure of the cell, it is not very well defined. Not very well defined is what I'm going to write it down here. Okay, that means it does not have much of the organelles. Okay, as a human, if you consider what is inside a human body, there are organs present inside the human body. Okay, likewise, if you consider a cell, inside the cell you have cell organelles. Okay, what do you have? You have cell organelles, and these cell organelles are responsible for giving energy to the cell and the survival of the cell, the growth of the cell. Cell organelles are responsible. So for the prokaryotic cells, it does not have well-defined nucleus. First of all, it does not have a well-defined nucleus. What is a cell? This is a cell. Okay, the outer layer is called as cell membrane. It is called as cell membrane. Inside, every cell will have something which is called as a nucleus. Okay, what is it called? It is called as nucleus. This, in prokaryotic cell, it does not have a well-defined nucleus. That means the nucleus and the contents of the nucleus is just lying around in the cell. Okay, that's one thing. The second is cell organelles are absent, because these are the basic type of cells. It's, if you remember, if you learn it, these are the basic type of cells. Okay, and so they do not have the cell organelles inside them. Okay, the next thing is they have only one chromosome. Chromosomes are the ones which are responsible for the DNA, which are responsible for the growth of the cell and everything. Okay, when is the cell going to multiply? How is it going to multiply? All of that is defined by the chromosomes itself. So considering the prokaryotic cell, three main differences that we are going to see here is that, okay, the prokaryotic cell, the nuclear region is poorly defined. The nuclear region is poorly defined, and it does not, when I say poorly defined, it is not very well defined, or we are saying that it is poorly defined. Nucleus is there. Okay, so what does it actually mean? The first thing is the nucleus contents are lying inside like that only. Okay, so say like usually we throw things inside our home or in a cupboard at times when guests are coming, the same way the nucleus is lying inside. The chromosomes are lying inside it. Okay, it does not have the nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane is not there. Okay, human body without the skin or bones, you can say, just the organs are lying around. So the nucleus is also lying around like that. Okay. Second is the cell organelles are absent. The cell organelles are absent in them. The third one is it has only one chromosome. And since these are the basic ones existing, they are very small in size. They are very small in size. Okay, this is about the prokaryotic cell. Moving to the other type of cell that we have is the eukaryotic cell. So what's inside a eukaryotic cell? This eukaryotic cell is a well-defined cell. What it is a well-defined cell. That means the nucleus does have a nuclear membrane. It does have a nuclear membrane and everything is well protected inside the nucleus itself. Okay. Next is they have more than one chromosome. This is the first one. The second one is it has more chromosomes. Okay. It is a well-defined one. These are the basic one. When you make a basic model of something, that is going to be very simple. If I'm drawing a cell, I'll usually draw a cell. This is it. But when I have excelled in drawing the cell, I'll draw the cell, I'll draw the nucleus, I'll draw the mitochondria that's existing inside it. Okay, I'll draw the endoplasmic reticulum, I'll draw the Golgi bodies inside it, I'll draw the plastids that are inside it. Everything I'll draw. Okay, and DNAs also I'll draw in here. So everything will be possibly drawn in a eukaryotic cell. So it is an advancement of the cell, you can say. So more chromosomes are present in here. And next is that there are cell organelles present. Cell organelles are also present inside it. Nuclear membrane is there, more chromosomes are there, and cell organelles are also present inside the cell. Okay, these are the basic differences that you have about the eukaryotic and the prokaryotic cell as well. Okay, so this is the definition. This is all about the cell. The types of organisms we have studied, uni and multi-celled. The types of cells we have studied, prokaryotic and eukaryotic, and then we have also studied what are the differences between the prokaryotic and the eukaryotic cells. Okay.